Back in 2013, I decided to study abroad at the University of Michigan. This is where I met my boyfriend. After my year abroad ended and I moved back to the UK, we decided to keep seeing each other long distance. And 7 years later, here we are. But the pandemic hit and meant that we spent 9 months apart. And this threw a lot of things into perspective. I think we found out that we'd grown up a lot and we decided, actually, maybe we are the marrying kind. So today we're going to be answering all your questions about our engagement, where we're moving to, and any other questions that you had. So let's get into it. Because no one knows your name, can I call you Mr. Lucas? And if you're wondering, it was very intentional not to mention his name online because, well, some people deserve privacy. He has a normal job and leads a normal life outside of social media. As I said, he doesn't have social media so it kind of be, I don't know, people deserve their privacy. Just because this is the way that I live my life doesn't mean that everyone in my life has to live their way of life the same way, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's get into some of the questions. Okay, so most of the questions that we got were definitely where will you live? Will he be joining you in England? Where are you moving together? Where else? Is long distance over, or will you be continuing the long distance through the engagement? So no, the long distance is not over. But that's because we're going through the visa process right now.
And it's probably going to take a while.
It's probably going to take a while. We filed our first visa papers 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago, yeah.
And it's probably going to take another month just to hear from that, and then...
Then the next steps, which will take another several months at least, so it's going to be a while.
But the visa, so basically we've decided that I'm going to move to the US for a little while. But we decided this for many reasons. One, because I think the end goal is to move to the UK, because you actually want to move here. I'm not pressurizing you. And also my job is so flexible, and he has a job, you have a job, where it doesn't make sense to leave your job during the pandemic, during COVID. But also, if he moves here, then like he won't see his family as much. So I feel like it's only fair if...
It'll be nice to spend time with my family before I come over here, and then I'm probably only going to be able to go back to the US, maybe once or twice a year. So it'll be nice to be closer to them for a little while, and then, cut them off. No, we'll be able to go visit my family a lot and enjoy that for a few years, and then maybe make our way over here.
Yeah, and especially because I haven't seen his family for must be like 2 years now, because the last time I went to the US was February last year, and then I came back just before everything sort of started happening in the UK. And so then last time I saw your family was August 2019, I think.
I think you're right, yeah, it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
And they ask about you all the time.
And I like his family. I want to spend time with them. And I feel like it's nice to be able to do that, especially if later on, he moves here, and again, my family are here. The UK is much smaller than the US, so it's much easier for me to see my family, and I feel like it's not as fair. So we're doing the visa process for a spousal visa to move to the US. We've done the first set of paperwork, spoke to a lawyer to get all of that sorted, and then the next step after that, if we are approved, is an interview.
Yeah, the next step after what we're doing right now, which is an initial petition to get the process started, is then they'll kick all the papers over to the embassy in London, the US Embassy in London, where you will go for an interview and talk with them.
We had to file so many things, like so many recommendation letters, or like letters of authenticity that our relationship was real, 7 years worth of photographs and plane tickets, and really was quite revealing and intimate, wasn't it?
Yeah, thankfully they didn't ask for, or they didn't require, at least not yet, evidence of correspondence in the form of like texts and stuff like that, which, they haven't asked for, so I hope they don't. It's nice to keep some things to ourselves, but...
Especially if you're long distance.
Yeah.
Hopefully I will be moving there for the next few years. We don't have like a time limit on that, but I'm probably looking at about 2 to 3 years, depending on what happens when we get there. And then we'll have to start the visa process again, to move back here.
Hopefully it'll be a little easier though.
Because we'll be married.
We'll already be married, and we'll have like shared bills and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because coming to the UK, I think the visa process actually looks more complicated. You have to have lived together for 2 years and show bills with both your names on it and stuff like that, which obviously is impossible now because he doesn't live here. And so hopefully when we live there, it will make the process easier. And one of my best friends, Anna, she just married her wife in New York, so they've just been through this whole process, so it's very nice to have people to talk to and things like that, which actually kind of leads me on to the next question, which is about whether we're going to get married. So some people said, when are you getting married? Are you going to have a small wedding? Are you going to get married as fast as possible? Will you have a long engagement? I personally don't understand why people have long engagements, unless obviously the pandemic has put off so many people's weddings.
Maybe some people like time to plan big elaborate weddings.
Oh,
Maybe
that's
some
true.
people just want to get married but the time's not right to get married, so it's like a getting engaged and then saying we need time to figure out all the logistics and stuff.
You're so cute.
That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're going to get married as soon as possible. When we get married, no, we're not having a wedding, because the most unromantic part about this whole process is that we have to be married within 90 days of me arriving in the US. So that kind of leaves little, and also because both of our families obviously don't live in the same country, then it's kind of much harder to plan that kind of wedding and things like that. We're also not that wedding-y kind of people, but I reckon when we move back to the UK, we will have some form of wedding, because otherwise our families may never meet, and that would be really sad. I mean, his cousin has come to the UK a few times, even without him, and met loads of my friends, which has been so nice. And our parents have corresponded quite a few times, but they've just never met each other.
Through Christmas presents that they've sent each other.
I know, it's so cute. And also it would just be quite nice for them to meet, I think.
I think it would be nice for two sets of parents to meet their stepchild? No, sorry. The child-in-law's parents.
Yeah, that's true.
Stepchild.
Especially because we spent so many Christmases with each other's families. And so like we know them really well, but they don't know. And it'd just be funny. I just really would love to see the way that your parents interact with my parents. Because my parents are so like posh and British and like, hello, we're so friendly. Whereas your family are very like American and...
They're just quiet, not chatty people. Sort of the
Whereas my
opposite.
mum is like the chattiest person ever. But I mean, you know.
Who knows, maybe they'll mesh perfectly as opposites.
Yeah, maybe they will. So I think that's our kind of plan. So as soon as I get to the US, we're going to get married within 90 days. And then in the future, we'll have, I think, a small wedding. We're not about this kind of like 100 people, no. And also everything is going to be kind of, I don't know, low key. Like, I don't think there's going to be anything traditional about what we do next. I think the most traditional thing is the fact that I have an engagement ring, and that's it. Everything is completely dependent on our visas, I think.
Yeah, because we've been so caught up in that process, we just haven't thought about any sort of other planning or anything like that. There's too much unknown, and we've been so wrapped up in all that, logistical stuff that we just haven't thought about it.
No, we haven't.
Which is okay, but I think that's kind of natural for us because we're not like big on weddings anyways, so.
I love to go to a wedding. Like, I love to go to a wedding. But we're just not that big on celebrations. We love to celebrate other people's things, but we're not very good at celebrating our own things. We don't even know when our anniversaries are because we don't really have any anniversary dates. So this will be like the first anniversary date, like when we actually get married. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, what might be more exciting is actually when we get our visa approved.
It'll be our visa approval anniversary.
Yeah, because we've never been able to live together more than like a couple of months. So that's the most exciting thing for me. Lots of people are like, oh, getting married is so exciting. I'm like, yeah, it's exciting, but also like, I'm just excited to live together.
That'll be nice.
It will be nice. Where are you moving to, and are you going to buy a house or rent or move around? We're definitely not in a position to buy a house. And also, because I'm going to the US, it just would not make sense to even buy a house anyway, even if we could. So we will rent for a couple of years. And then when we come back to the UK, if we're in a position to do so, then we'll start looking for a very small little house or flat or something. People are asking lots about, how did the proposal happen? Was the proposal planned? Was there even one?
Not really.
Not really.
No. We decided that it was time to submit our paperwork.
That sounds so unromantic. But I mean, other people in long distance relationships will fully understand this and why this is the process that we had to go through. I mean, I think over the last couple of years we have talked about visas and living together and getting married and stuff, but it wasn't until I think the last year, maybe year and a half that we started to really like talk about it properly.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is that when you're in a long distance relationship like ours that has been going on for so long, you kind of face two outcomes, which is you get married or you, and I guess that's kind of the case for other, you know, for a lot of relationships, but we know that to end the long distance element, we have to get married. So.
Oh, that's like the easier option.
But in any case, yeah, I think we have talked about it for quite a long time, and then just in the last year and a half, 2 years, we talked about it more seriously. So no, there was no proper proposal.
I didn't really feel like I needed a proposal, and I don't think you felt like you needed one.
Like, I think that if one of us was to propose to the other, it would be sort of like a, oh, this is really nice. You already know the answer.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, there have been times where we have like talked about it and then been like realizing how serious we both are and being like, oh, okay, we're actually gonna do this. And then the pandemic, because of that, we were like, this is the kick up the backside that we needed to just like file our visa paperwork and stuff like that. I think the problem is because we are long distance, it takes a lot of the romance out of the planning for things. Because when it's like, oh, would you like to, like, can we get married? Do you want to get married? Will you marry me? Blah, blah, blah. It's, what you're really asking is, do you love me enough to go through all the bureaucracy that it takes to live together and be together? And that is true love. The amount of work that you put in to getting our visa papers together. Now that's, I appreciated that.
It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. Anyway, I'm going to let him go back to work so that I'll continue this afterwards. Thanks. Okay, so one of the questions which I can definitely answer on my own is your ring vintage? It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Yes, it 100% is vintage. Because diamonds are obviously incredibly unethical, especially if they're mined, I obviously agree with lab-grown diamonds because that takes away the ethical question as long as everyone in that supply chain is still being paid fair wages. But when it comes to rings, there are just so many beautiful vintage rings out there. And I just feel like if you can get something secondhand or vintage, then why not? I also find that I found that they're more affordable, and also I actually wasn't sure I even wanted a ring, and he's not even sure if he still wants a ring, because I think we've been together for such a long time and we just weren't sure that we were ever going to get married, so we never considered those other things. And I think considering there's not really going to be any other traditional things, so I wanted one thing that felt like, I don't know, it was a symbol or a commemoration of our commitment to one another, because we also don't even have any anniversary dates. Like, I think we can't even remember, there was no time when we officially decided we were going to be together, and it's very confusing. So we have no anniversary dates, and so I thought I'd like something that would commemorate it, and so that's why we decided to get a ring. We got it from a little vintage jeweller's in Hastings. I think it's Hastings, or is it Battle? I think it might be Battle in East Sussex, or maybe, is that West Sussex? No, I think that's East Sussex. Sorry, it's called Friar's House, maybe? I'll leave it down below if you're interested. I actually found them on Instagram. I also wanted something that was a little bit unusual, and I found this one. So yeah, it's funny because everyone I showed, like my parents and my school friends and stuff, said that it's very me, which is quite nice. So that is the story of the ring. Yeah, definitely vintage, secondhand, would never get something new, something like that. People want to know where we're actually going to move to.
We don't know yet.
We don't know. We're going to do like a rundown of looking at places that we think would suit us. Places like Colorado, Pacific Northwest. If you have any ideas where you think, we're really looking at like mountains, mountain towns, or anything that's like outdoors by water. So if you have any suggestions, that'd be fun.
It would be fun.
It would be fun. It'd be nice to not have to be such an unsustainable couple, so we don't have to fly to see each other anymore, because that sucks. My bank account's not happy. If you don't follow Manuela from The Girl Gone Green, you should. She just asked the question, when are we moving to Colorado? Community living. So I feel like Colorado might be high on the list for the sustainable crew. I just want to say thank you so much for all of your comments and all your questions. All your lovely comments on the last video and on my Instagram post are just overwhelmed with how wonderful and kind you guys are. Honestly, it means such a lot, and my heart goes out to any of you in relationships who've been long distance anyway, or long distance because of the pandemic, or have recently come out of relationships, or recently got into relationships. Yeah, you guys are very special, and I'm very, very, very grateful to have such kind and caring people in this community. For the couple of people who asked the question of how did I know that he was the one, I think I've always known. He's always been incredibly kind and caring and thoughtful. He's always supported me in anything that I've wanted to do. He's always been willing to grow with me. We've never been critical of one another. And I think being supported and just feeling very special and trying to make him feel special is in itself a very magical thing. So yeah, I guess in a sense I've always known that I wanted to be with him forever. And I feel very, very, very lucky to have someone like that in my life, because my friends are the effing best. Like, I adore them. My school friends are just out of this world. I've been friends with them since some of them since I was in nursery, and some since I was about 11 years old, and we're all part of the same group. And I never thought I would find anyone as special as them. So I feel very grateful to have two lots of special people like that in my life that aren't obviously my family. So yeah, if you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to get back to all of them, because I really appreciate it, and I always read all of your comments, even if I don't get time to reply to all of them, but I do try to reply to as many as possible. So if you do have any, please let me know. Anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you on Sunday.